We are in full effect here for GD03 of Gundam. And I've made some videos on it in the past. I'm actually probably going to be re-uploading some of them onto this new channel because we're going to primarily focus in on TCG stuff over here on this side. So if you are here coming from the other gaming videos, first and foremost, thank you. Greatly appreciate it. However, we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about new Type 3 as an experience. I'm really back fully on the Gundam grind, and I want to discuss a little bit about decks, specifically the deck I chose to play, why I played it, and how I got third with it. As you can see, here is Mr. Kira. It's a very, very pretty card. Very pretty card. Waken potential promo for entry, of course, but we're going to talk about how you can maybe win one of these sick prize cards yourselves, especially if you are a fan of the Zeonic here. We're going to get into a deck list. We're going to talk about units. We're going to talk about pilots. We're going to talk about bases. We're going to talk about commands or lack thereof. And we're going to talk about general strategy, what you want to look for when you're running the deck, things that will struggle into the deck, and the decks that this thing will struggle into. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start yapping a little bit about those, and we are going to start, of course, with the unit cards. So starting it off at level 2, we do actually only play 2 level 2s in here. We play 4 of the AP plus Base Breaker Zaku, and we play 4 of the Zaku Mariner. These guys are just here to basically be your generic jobber drops. You kind of want to have little bodies to present on board. You know, it's very nice when you always want to go on the play with this deck, in my opinion. So it's very nice if you end up with some combination of these on your turn and you're able to rest down 2 resources and just drop 2 bodies. Now, of course, a lot of blocker decks aren't going to care a ton about seeing that, but we will talk about those in a second here as well. But very basic. If you're going into non-blocker decks, this is a guaranteed turn 2, turn 3 base break, depending on whether you're on the play or on the draw, excuse me. Well, you're technically always on the draw, which is kind of nice. And these guys are just a little bonus pressure as well to take an extra shield after you do that, which is always going to be nice. So Zaku 2 and Zaku Mariner are our first 2 cards of choice here. And we'll obviously get everything put up somewhere on the screen for a little bit more clarity so you can see the list grow and unfold. I will also have a link to the EX burst on this list if you want to take a look at it as well. Okay, getting into level 3s, we are playing 4 of the Rick Dom. We are playing 3 of the Sharzaku 2 Rare, and we are playing 4 of the Sharzaku 2 LR. Now, all of these cards sort of bring their own value, sort of like flair to this deck, because they're all value pieces. You look at Rick Dom, that's just trade value. We're breaching, we're getting to do a lot of really cool things. Pretty solid stats for the drop. Trades really well into a lot of bodies. Really nice. This guy, when paired with anything, and don't be afraid to throw pilots on units sometimes. We will also be talking about why that helps. Don't be afraid to throw him on, because when he dies after having a pilot on him, he will create you your little Zaku token here, which just kind of helps keep board pressure. It means they have to swing something into this, which is really nice. So it's always something good to keep in mind when you're running this guy. And this is, of course, I mean, arguably the best card in the deck. On Destruction, filter top 3 for a Zeon unit. It's going to help you find some of these bigger drops we're going to be running, maybe help you find a link you need, and help you close out the game. These guys are great. You have no worry about trading them into anything. Even if they don't kill, you are getting the card, which is huge. If they get close combated, you kind of don't care because you're getting the card. It's very hard to whiff in this deck. It's possible, but I don't think you're going to be seeing it too often. So that's our level 3 choices here. Again, we are on the 4 Rick Dom, the 3 Sharzaku 2, and the 4 Sharzaku 2 LRs. All right, getting into level 4s, we are looking at 4 Vanilla Gelgooks, 4 of the common G-Fred, and then 3 Shar's Gelgooks. Now, all of these cards, again, bring their own sort of flair to the deck, which is why I really enjoy playing this list. Vanilla Gelgoog here is just a generic link to both Char and Nian, who is our other pilot in the deck. We'll talk about a little bit more about her when we get there. But linking to both of our pilots that were on 4-ofs means that this guy on level 4 sometimes is a really good link to curve out into, with a really good effect being given to it from both of our pilots, which is really nice. The G-Fred here, if you are able to get that rushdown strat going, or you're in a little bit of a grindy or slower match, the G-Fred here does have the potential to burst when you see it from shields. And if you do, you get to burst into this 4/3 token, which is very, very relevant because it is a body. There's very few things that can just trade into this freely outside of, Gundams and things like that. And even then, they are putting themselves at risk to another ping damage if you are running close combats and things like that. So it does get a little scary. And if not, you are just getting another body to swing in with out of your shields, which at this current point in the game, there's nothing else giving you something like that outside of Striker Pack. And even then, Striker Pack is restricted. I can burst 3 G-Freds back to back, and as long as I have you at 3 shields or less, I'm getting all 3 of those G-Freds, which feels really, really good. So the G-Fred here is a great card. It's also just another 4 AP, can trade with Lifrith very nicely. We don't mind it going to the grave. We'll talk about that. And it's a link with our other pilot. And the Char's Gelgoog. This card is huge. I think it's still such a clutch card for us to have from GD01. You're able to grab back your Chars out of the yard and effectively use them to free link. Basically, you do have to discard at a cost, but we're okay with that in our list because we run certain cards that care about the trash. If you know, you know. But let's go ahead, let's get into the next set of cards that we are on. Alright, now we're going to talk about all our top end pieces. This is our level 6, 7, and 8s. We're going to talk about them all in one go here, but we'll start off with the G-Fred. The LR G-Fred is a ridiculously good card. It links again with one of our main pilots, Nian. You can exile pilots from your trash at the cost of 1 resource to all range attack, ping the whole board for 1. Except it's better because it has no restrictions on what it can hit. It just hits everything. If you link Nian to it, it can swing into something with AP equal to or less than its own, which at that point would be 5, which means we have a lot of options on the table. If they just play out an Ale with no pilot, you can snipe the Ale. If they put Soletta, we can ping and then snipe the Ale and take it out and not die, because we will have a 7 HP stat, which is very, very important on this card. Even if you don't have the pilot, though, each one of them on board is another instance of that pilot exile that can be activated once a turn, which I think is very, very powerful. So love this card. Specifically when you're playing into decks like Cyclops Team, this card is the nightmare fuel for them, or any sort of like more token heavy strategy. Right now Cyclops Team is just kind of like the only one of that kind, but in my run I did see this into Cyclops Team, and it basically won me the game on the spot. Every token got wiped, and I was able to maintain my board pressure without really giving them really any room to crack back into me. So the G-Fred LR, insanely good card, insanely strong, and really fuels us in that sort of like mid to late game transition very, very wonderfully. So big fan of the G-Fred LR here. The next card we're going to be talking about as a 2 of is my boy Big Zam. Yes, we are on Big Zam. I do believe that this card is in a great spot right now. We have a lot of ways to fill our trash, which is why in the early game we really don't care about trading. We are okay throwing bodies at the wall. Big Zam sets us up and actually won me a game in my new type challenge, which was awesome. I was able to sort of create a board state where I was 1 in trash off of my 10 for Big Zam, so I played out the Basebreaker Zaku 2 into 2 Merida links on board that pinged it down and killed it. So on the following turn I was able to drop the Zam. I blew up like 2 or 3 blockers, and I had Rick Doms on board that were able to then trade for breaches into the Meridas, which felt really, really good. So Big Zam I am a huge fan of. I think this card is insanely, insanely powerful right now. It's still very beatable, and it still is kind of grindy to get to at times, but oh man, dude, when you see this card, feels great. And if you're in a matchup where you have no blockers whatsoever, then this is your discard to Char's Gelgoog every time. Even if you are playing it in a blockerless match, it is still a 5/6 breach 4, which is very relevant. Can't be rested by Amro. It's going to be very hard for these ping decks to be able to just piece it down easily. They have to commit a lot of resources to it, and you're going to be able to trade with a lot of relevant links without a pilot even being on the Zam, which is also really, really nice. So big Zam, big fan, and it can win you games. I promise you that. The final top end we are on is 2 of the brand new GD03 G-Quux Omega Psychomus. These cards are ridiculous. 6 AP without a link. They do link to Nian, one of our main pilots. On deploy, choose anything and shoot it for 3. The amount of times that I come down and people are just kind of flooding the board with little chump blockers, and you can come down, shoot a Lifrith for 3 and potentially finish it off with the G-Fred. Come down and shoot a Rick Dom for 3, or Rick Diaz, excuse me, for 3. Come down and shoot a Zowart for 3, or just deal 3 damage to anything on the board you would like. It's really good into the blue-purple ping matchup because there's a lot of things that self-ping there, and you're going to be able to maybe snipe a Goosey on, maybe going to be able to set up a Gundam to get traded into, things like that that are going to be very, very efficient and valuable for the deck. This card does provide, as well as giving us a nice way to try and push for game enders with the suppression that we do have on this card as well. No restrictions to it, it just does. And if you have Nian, it does become a 7/7, which is pretty solid stats. But that is our full unit board here. Again, just for a little bit of review, these are our 8 top-end pieces that we do play in the deck. Very valuable, very good. And I'm a big fan of them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk a little bit about our pilot choices, which you probably all can tell who they are by now. But we'll talk a little bit about them, effective ways to use them, and things like that. All right, getting into pilot choices here, we've got, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the face of the deck, Char Aznavour, our level 3 pilot. This guy's going to be able to provide a lot when he links to any of the suits that he does in this deck, which is a plethora of them. He's going to give them high maneuver and AP or links high maneuver, but any suit he's on, he gives AP +1. There are a lot of times where if I need to break a 5 base, I will throw this guy onto base breaker Zaku, swing, it'll get +3 AP on the attack, making it a 5/3. Very positive for my end, because then if they choose to block, I can live most blockers and trade with them in those early stages outside of, or well, not most, I can live Lifriths, which is the one I commonly see because of that big 4 HP. But this guy's really good. Obviously, all of his Sharzaku 2 links are 5 AP high maneuvers. Char's Gelgoob is a 6 AP link maneuver. The Vanilla is a 6 AP link maneuver. So we've got a lot of really powerful capability to sneak in tons of damage on life thanks to Char, and we're really able to threaten a constant board presence if it's not dealt with early. So Char is very valuable, very good. We love this guy. The other 4 pilots we're on is, of course, the Nians here. Now, Nian is a brand new part of the deck, GD03, but oh my goodness, has this card been a miracle worker for me. I think that this card is genuinely one of the strongest pilots that they have printed in the game currently, specifically in this deck because it fuels our strategy in strides. We are putting cards in our trash to hopefully help us fuel Big Zam, and we are a 38 pilot or 38 unit list, I'm pretty sure. So we have just an absolute ton. I'm actually pulling up the count here just to double check it and be sure. We're a 38 unit list, so more often than not, we're flipping units into the trash to fuel Zam, and then we are getting an unrestricted ping on anything on the board, which is huge in this deck. Being able to set up those pings very nicely, being able to set up trades that are in our favor or take out problem bodies with our Rick Doms and things like that, it's very, very nice. Also, this unit being a 1/2 is huge in my book because a lot of the problem with a lot of these Zeon cards that are relevant is that they get traded into very easily. Char's Gelgoob is a 4 HP link. It dies to a Razel. It dies to a close combat or 2 close combats. It dies to, you know, on a trade with gun tanks maybe after, you know, they come down and ping. So there's just a lot of very like threatening, scary things that can hit us in this format especially. So a pilot that's able to turn some of those links into a little bit beefier HP stats, I think is huge, while supplementing our ultimate goal of having a big Zam live for us to be able to handle blockers. So these are the pilots. We're only on 8 in the deck. And our bases of choice, we're just going to go ahead, we're going to jump right in and talk about them, is 4 of the Zanzibar. Now, I think if there's any choice in the deck that is very flexible, I think it's these guys, and I think it is your choice of like early game drop / jobber. I think there's a lot of different directions you can go with them. I really like the Zanzibar because it does a lot on deploy. Since the majority of our deck is going to be in the free deploy threshold, you get a lot of instances where this card is I will come down, I will drop a body, I will pick up I will pick up a shield, I will drop a body, and now I have not only a shield to sort of keep me alive in this matchup, depending on what we're going into, and now a new thing that my opponent has to work around, but I'm also getting the body out, all at the cost of 2 resources, potentially picking up a very valuable card or pilot into my hand. So I really, really like that. Or maybe I'm finding a better free drop off of it. The amount of times in this deck I have Zanzibar and free dropped a Char's Gelgoog that I can then just hard link with a Char in my hand feels phenomenal. And then you still have a resource standing if you want to run out a Zaku 2 or the Zaku Mariner, just another body, or if you want to throw another pilot elsewhere on the board, you still have that as well. So this is a very, very powerful card, I think. And giving us the ability to free deploy off of our bases, I think is really, really strong. But that is going to do it for our base choice. We're going to go ahead, kind of lay everything out, and we're going to talk a little bit about matchups, things we like to see, things we don't like to see. Really quick, going through my personal matchups that we got to top 3 with, and we will just put the boy in the center here, give him the share of the show. So what got us to top 3, our matchups were first round Green White Wing. I deviously low rolled. I top decked Zanzibar for the first 3 turns, and it was very unfortunate. We got blown out pretty hard. But again, happens. Second round went really good into Cyclops team. Again, G-Fred won me that match. I think I spoke on it a little bit. Match 3 was against the blue-red ping deck. We were able to really handle business. A lot of baby Ks came down, a lot of pinging occurring, a lot of close combats, but again, we were able to sort of grind through those matches and get to the point where we had a lot of strong, relevant bodies. G-Fred was helping us keep that board in check and able to force very not positive trades because of this big HP stat, which felt really good. Match 4 was going against another green-white wing deck, which we were able to come out on top of. We hit a clutch Char burst at one point, which did give us the link with Vanilla Goo to close out the game after seeing 2 Wing Zeros and an Altron, so it felt really good there. And then the final match of the game, or of the day, was against the Neo Zeon blocker deck, which again, we were able to win on the back of our boy Big Zam coming down, wiping blockers, forcing breaches, and giving us ultimately an opening, paving the way for our G-Quuxes to come down and close out the game for us really nicely. So that is the deck. I think Zeon's is in a wonderful place right now. Deck could be a little bit better. Obviously, there's so many better decks against it. I dodged blue-purple all day, and I think that is the nightmare scenario for this deck. The Mikas, the NTs, the Guntanks, the Angshas, the Amuros, the Gusions, they're just all such powerful cards. Fatal Strikes, Adepts. It's so good. Baby Barb Draw. The list goes on and on. I could talk about it forever, but I think we're in a really good spot with the deck right now. So if you have not already, definitely jump in to some of the Zeon action in GD03. We are going to be covering Gundam on this game a little bit more. I'm going to plan on doing deck lists, maybe some things to talk about. Gameplay and some of the upcoming news and reveals as we get them. Just sort of be a one-stop shop for this TCG that has totally enraptured me, and I hope you guys have been enjoying just as much as well. But of course, that is going to do it. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and remember, keep on keeping on. Have a good one, guys.